Hi, I'm Gary Seligson. I'm a musician based in New York City. I'm a drummer and percussionist, and I'm talking to you today. I want to talk to you about Gary Chester and his system of learning how to play the drums, his book called New Breed. He is a big reason I feel like I had the amount of success I have had as a pro musician. Shortly after I studied with him, I fell into the Broadway scene in New York City and was able to have a career that has lasted for about 30 years. It started off with Broadway tours, with shows, and then morphed into working in the city. I am the original drummer on Aida, Wicked. I'm on the record for Wicked. I played the album and did the first 3 years of the show, developed the show. Then I left that to do Tarzan with Phil Collins, which was his music. It was incredible. Billy Elliot, Motown. I played percussion. The great Buddy Williams played drums on that. That was incredible. And then after that, School of Rock, and now if and when Broadway comes back after COVID, I hope it will come back, I'm playing the percussion book on Mrs. Doubtfire the musical. Rodney Howard is playing drums and killing it. But anyway, all of that happened, I think, as a direct relation to me having studied with Gary Chester. When I met Gary, I knew that I wanted to morph into the New York scene, and it was a more commercial scene. I had hopes and aspirations of being a studio drummer, and it just so happened that Modern Drummer had done an interview with Gary Chester. I had never heard of Gary Chester, and I quickly learned about his incredible resume of recording hits, just incredible the amount of hits he was on in the 60s and 70s and 50s probably too. And in the interview, he explained how he's not playing too much anymore, but he's become passionate about teaching. And I thought, oh, this is really interesting. Maybe I could study with him, and maybe somehow through Gary, I could kind of work my way into the studio scene. Well, I called him up when I got to New York, and it took a few months, and I got a time slot. And it was an incredible experience. Gary, as you may or may not know, had a completely unorthodox way of teaching drums. He had cloths on the drums. Everything was tamped down so that he said you could really hear where the stick landed on the cymbal and on the drums in relation to the time. Everything you played for him, you played to a click track, and you sang everything you played. You would sing each limb's part. And everything you played right-handed lead, you turn around and play left-handed lead. And so all of this was completely unorthodox and new to me. And from the first lesson, I was very blown away, and I learned immediately that what he was asking me to do was something that was completely out of my wheelhouse. In working with the systems, the first thing you do is, I sat behind the drums, and Gary's desk was in front of the drums a few feet away, and he'd have the click going. So you hear boom, 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 boom. And he said, okay, system number one, play 16th notes on the hi-hat with the click. Don't flam the notes. So you're hearing boom, 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 boom. Then read the bass line, read the melody line with your bass drum, etc. Now sing the quarter note. Ah, 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 ah. Well, I can do that for you now, but let me tell you, I could not do that at all. And as a 20-something-year-old kid right out of college, I was very shocked that I couldn't do this. And then he said, okay, now I want you to sing the offbeat. So the click is going on the downbeat, of course, and he wanted you to sing the offbeat. So I wasn't used to singing. This is all new to me. Anyway, I learned fast that I had no idea what I was doing. When I was freaked out and really wanted to learn how to do this. And so I started studying with him. I spent about, I think I had about 60 lessons with him total over the course of a year and a couple of months. And it was amazing. One of the things he delves into in his systems is that everything you play with your right hand, the right side of your body, you turn around and play it left hand as well. So for me, I'm a natural lefty, and that was a huge, doing that was a huge help for me. It really freed me up and opened me up a lot. To do that, it just changed my playing in a huge way. And he explains how the right part of your brain controls the left part of your body, and the left part of your brain controls the right part of your body. And you actually, even though you're playing the same rhythms, the same patterns, you would think they would sound the same on either side, but it turns out when you're playing right-handed, it sounds a little bit more mathematical and clinical and compartmentalized. It might be perfect, it might be machine-like. When you're playing left-handed, it actually sounds a little funkier. And I couldn't believe, when he told me that, I was like, really? But I felt it. And so being a natural lefty, for me, that really, I found myself playing a lot of things left-handed, and it was it gave me a lot of freedom. In the real world, while playing these gigs, shortly after studying with Gary, my career mostly on Broadway took off, and one of the things I did was play drums on Tarzan. And here's a perfect example of real-world application of Gary Chester's methods. In Tarzan, it was myself and two other percussionists, Roger Squatero and Javier Diaz. Those guys are both amazing and they're good friends of mine. I was playing drums, and Phil Collins was there every day in rehearsal for months. And so first of all, it was nerve-wracking to play with. I love Phil Collins as much as anybody. I think he's incredible. And so it was nerve-wracking to play for him every day, but having gone through the intense, scrupulous study with Gary, my confidence level was up, and I felt good about it. And Phil liked the way I played, so that was a plus. But how it directly affected it was Phil had us play the score. Part of the score from the show included the band playing on top of Phil's tracks. And Phil had very dense percussion tracks that we played on top of. Really, really rhythmic, as you'd imagine, and intricate. So I know that a lot of the reason for my success was because I was able to lay in the pocket pretty well with this stuff. And I know it's from having studied Gary's systems and all the singing I did, and you really learn where the time is and how to manipulate and balance your sound and your limbs to get right inside the groove. And so that was something that I can say was a direct correlation to having studied with Gary. I know that was a huge help for me. Thanks, Gary, for that. So the reason I'm here now talking to you about this is because Katrina Chester, who's Gary's daughter, is a friend of mine, and she asked myself and a few other of Gary's students to record a little video and explain what it was like to study with Gary, and so that's what I'm doing here. She has a video series that she's putting up on YouTube and Facebook, and the point of it is to attach students that want to study Gary Chester's methods to some of his original students who actually knew how Gary taught it. Katrina explains that Gary passed in '87, and for all these years she's gotten many emails from all over the world asking her just that question: how does one study the new breed system that with someone who knows how to do it? I don't quite get it. So now the idea is that Gary's systems will live on, and we can actually teach the students in the way that Gary taught us. I think it's going to be really helpful. So now I want to give you an idea what it was like to play these systems, what it is like to play these systems. This is system 28, which is the hi-hat plays right hand 2/16 and an eighth, snare drum plays 2 and 4, left foot plays offbeats, right foot reads the melody line. I'm going to use page 18, the first 8 bars. I'm going to sing the quarter note. Ah, Here we go. Ah, 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 So that was that. Now I'm going to sing the 2 and 4. And when I'm doing this, I'm trying to make all the parts kind of work together symbiotically, like a rhythm section plays together, including my voice, which he called the fifth limb. So everything's working together. I'm listening to this click. I'm trying to get really inside it. So now I'm going to sing the 2 and 4. Okay, now I'm going to move to the left side of my body. So 29 is just reversed hands. Everything else stays the same. I'll sing the offbeat eighth notes. Okay, now I'm going to sing the melody line. And so the idea is here to try to get it dancing, try to get the whole composite thing dancing. What I just played is probably like maybe a level 4 out of where we got to a level 10, meaning that that was not that hard. However, I'm rusty. I haven't really done this very much in the last 20 years. But when I was back in the day when I was studying with him weekly, I was the hi-hat, my left foot was playing all the melody lines. I could sing the rests. I was incorporating the toms. It was very intricate, and it's pretty amazing like what it could sound like and what it felt like to concentrate and play this really difficult stuff where I might be singing a part, but I'm listening to, you know, the composite rhythm just like you do when you play drums normally, I guess. But the fact that you're singing inside the click, it really, you start to hear around the corner, as Gary used to say. It's really amazing.